Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News, May 26, 2018. Sorry, folks, for some reason, the live stream wasn't going very well using my other live streaming software. You know, for some reason, every now and then, YouTube just, I don't know. It seems like they know what you're doing, and they want to cause issues every step of the way. But give me 1 second here, folks. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick. And what we're going to be talking about, excuse me, is this unidentified object that was captured on the Seechi spacecraft. And one of my subscribers and followers, and also fellow investigator, gentleman who lives in Belgium, first name is Yves, great guy. You know, he's been following me now for probably almost 2 years now. And he sent me an inbox message, and it was a still photograph of this object passing through one of the cameras on the Seechi spacecraft. And he, put a big question mark in there, and, he's like, what in the hell is this? And it was kind of, kind of off the cuff, because I was just about to go and view some of the Seechi imaging, because I didn't look at it for about a day or so. And I immediately went to it, and I pulled up that date, and I was kind of freaked out, folks. I mean, if you guys haven't seen the initial video that I put up, you definitely have to watch it afterwards or whatever. But this object is absolutely massive, and I've been reviewing it over and over and over and over. I tried to convert some of the images to a 4K, a higher resolution. It's a little tough whenever you're looking at that one SREM image on the Seechi spacecraft, because it's not crystal clear. It's very distorted, because this camera picks up different views, and Dr. Albers has explained this to me several times, and I still have issues understanding how that camera works. But it is amazing what we're actually seeing on this spacecraft, U.S. Naval Observatory Seechi spacecraft. A lot of people commented, and they said, hey, Scott, that looks like that space wheel in the movie 2001, Odyssey. And I've seen models of this before, and I also thought the same thing. And then I remember watching a space documentary about, I think his first name is Werner von Braun. He was the German rocket scientist that the United States government kidnapped during World War II and brought him to the United States to work in the NASA program. And I have a video that I found of Mr. von Braun showing a model, a working model of this gigantic space wheel. It's a complete habitat. And yes, it does have to spin to create gravity. Folks, the more and more that I look into this, and the more and more that I've been reading about it, in order for man, human beings, in order for them to travel long distances in space, stay in outer space for maybe years and years, or maybe even a lifetime, they're going to have some type of gravity. We see the issues that occur with astronauts now in the space station. They have to exercise at least twice a day. Why? Well, because of the muscle atrophy. And if you're going to travel long periods of time in space, then you're going to need some type of artificial gravity. And these so-called space wheels, well, it seems that everything that I've looked at over the past 48 hours, human beings can survive indefinitely in these types of habitats. And that's what they're called. They're called habitats. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of this, and we're going to go into some of these screenshots that I took, and I tried to convert a lot of these to 4K. That way the resolution was a lot higher. Now, looking at this picture, I found several videos and a lot of information pertaining to these so-called space wheels, these habitats. Some of these habitats, they say that 100, 200,000 people can live on these space wheels. They have everything there that you would have on Earth: grass, lakes, rivers, houses, people, vegetation. They grow everything. It is a self-sustained space wheel, a space habitat. So the more and more I started looking at this object, and the more and more I started analyzing the actual video and showing this to Dr. Albers, we both looked at each other and, kind of scratched our heads. Because, there's so much that these space agencies don't tell us. And then I'm sure a lot of you don't know, or maybe you do know, that there is a secret space program. And we'll get into that some other time, because that would take weeks, possibly even months, to go over what the secret space program actually does. And it's not owned or operated by any of this world's governments. But anyways, so once again, as I was looking at these photographs and the still images, excuse me, I looked at some of the models for these so-called space wheels. And, I got to say, it's starting to match up pretty closely to these habitats. And these are massive. And these can be built in space. And why all of a sudden, over the last 2 years, has there's been this big push to get the human species out there in space? There are several whistleblowers that state there are complete habitats on the moon. There are complete habitats already on Mars. Human beings, the human species, living on these planets. Over the course of the last couple of months, there has been a lot of information coming out through Mr. David Wilcock, Mr. Corey Good, and Mr. Emery Smith pertaining to the secret space program, alien interaction, and underground bases, underground habitats. And, folks, this is completely off of the Planet X topic, but I still cannot get over what we actually saw on this video. And we're going to get into it, and I'm going to show you some closer views, and I'm going to show you that this object is actually rotating. And it's three-dimensional. And it looks a lot like these damn space wheel habitats. Yesterday, I worked on this, investigating this and researching this No lie, 16 hours. 16 hours. And, trying to make myself not believe what I actually saw, cruising through that piece of Seechi footage. And this is a 4K image that I converted, and I blew it up. And you see the pixels are real tiny. And, it may look a little distorted to you, but when you look at this image, you can see that that image is actually three-dimensional. There is a perfect triangle shape here. There seems to be structure here and here. And this oval, or it is possibly completely circular. Like Dr. Albers was explaining to me last night whenever we were reviewing some of this information, I kept saying that this has an oval shape, and she was telling me, okay, well, it looks like it's an oval shape, but it's tilted on its side. As I further investigated these space wheel habitats, they always have to be at an inclined position, no matter where they are in space. It's part of the way that they produce the artificial gravity. And because the initial live stream that I was trying to put together, and we were just having a bad stream, I was saying that when I was reading up on all of this information, this artificial gravity for the human beings, the human species, it is very important. Why? Because of muscle atrophy and your bone density. So a human being is not meant to be in outer space in zero gravity for long periods of time. That's why these astronauts in the space station have to exercise on an exercise bike 2 times per day, every single day, or else this muscle atrophy will start to affect them in the worst way. So building these space wheels, it can be done. It absolutely can be done. It would take a long period of time to do something like this from a human being standpoint, or that object that was passing through the Seechi camera was not man-made, but possibly extraterrestrial. And there's been so much talk over the course of the last couple of years pertaining to aliens, extraterrestrials. We've all heard the stories about the communications with the United States government going all the way back to, the 1940s, 1950s, possibly even earlier than that with the Germans and Adolf Hitler and the Bell spacecraft that they developed, and so on and so forth. I mean, you're talking about a tremendous amount of information over the course of all of these years. So the more and more I started looking at these objects, and the more and more I started looking at what we captured, I gotta say, it's pretty unusual. Very unusual. And these so-called space wheels, I mean, they have everything. They are self-sustained. They are even talking about, mining asteroids for water and ice, and also minerals. I mean, the in-depth research is pretty intense. They can grow anything. They can do anything they want on these space wheels. So, it just had me pushing further and further that whatever this object is, there's no doubt that it is in motion. it is cruising through space, and it happened to be pretty close to the orbits of Earth and Venus and Mars. And I'm going to show you the video uh, that I converted over into 4K. We're going to take a look at a lot of it. It's pretty interesting. But whenever you look at this object, it does seem to be tilted on its side. And this has been converted over to 4K. You can see a triangular structure here, another structure here, another structure here, and then naturally this oval, which almost looks like a complete tube all the way around it. Very interesting. This is a larger view of this object into, I placed this into a higher resolution for all of us to check out. And again, you can see this is a perfectly triangular shape right here. And again, the oval is absolutely perfect. Now, like Dr. Albers was explaining to me, because this is tilted on its side, this is probably not an oval, but a perfect circle. And in some of the information that I was reading yesterday and just about all of last night, these space wheels, they have to have this oval or round structure, because this actually turns like a wheel. And this is what creates that artificial gravity that the human species needs to survive in space for very, very long periods of time or forever. I was also listening to a few scientists yesterday that have been kind of silenced when it comes to our genetics and the human species living longer, not just for 75 years, but for hundreds of years, possibly even a few thousand years. And they state that this DNA technology is here. It's being used. There should be no sickness. There should be no ailments. And there definitely should be no cancer. I've also been listening to a lot of information on these genetic hybrids, genetic hybrid human beings. Their DNA is put together from not two individuals, not three, not four, but dozens, to almost make like a superhuman. And this also goes as far as their intelligence, their intellect. Pretty amazing stuff. Definitely far off the cuff of researching Planet X and what is lurking out there near our sun. But folks, the more and more I think about it, and the more and more I listen to these, these space scientists and these people at NASA and Elon Musk and all the rest of them, this big push to get off of this planet, get out there into the vastness of space and explore. But who's to say they're not already out there? There have been claims by whistleblowers currently stating that there are already colonies of human beings from this planet on Mars, in a colony, and on the moon. Like I've said before, I'd like to stay here on Earth. I'm not the astronaut type, but it's definitely very interesting. And this object is it's definitely blowing my mind. Here's another quick view of it, and again, you know, there is so much line of the actual shape of this object as it moves through space. And we're going to go ahead and get into some of the video that I was able to download and convert over into 4K. So we're going to take a look real quick at the original video. And you can see it right here coming from the corner. And I have some zoomed in video of this, and it's actually getting smaller because it's moving further away from the Seechi spacecraft. And over here, you see several planets: Venus, Mars, Earth. I think that might be Mercury. I forget which planet this is here. They're not labeled. Pretty interesting. We're going to get a better view. This is blown up a little bit more, and I haven't even converted this into 4K yet. I have it in a later video that we're going to go ahead and watch. And at that point in time, you can actually see the outer wheel, if that's what you want to call it. You can actually see it spinning and rotating. And again, folks, this object has to be massive. Maybe not the size of a planet, but it is definitely huge. And it's not a camera anomaly. Now, over the course of the next couple of days, I'll be able to get more data from the Seechi spacecraft because it doesn't release it every 24 hours. It only updates itself like every 3 to 5 days. And now that I've been talking about this and publicizing it, well, you know, who knows? Who knows what we'll see or what we won't see? Maybe they'll delete it. Who knows? I'm going to switch to the next video. Give us a little bit of a closer perspective. Now, even in this close-up, you can actually see the outer wheel. It is rotating. It's rotating pretty fast. And in the next video I'm going to show you, you're going to actually see this object kind of make a turn as it's moving towards the left. That object is spinning. It is a structure. Now, again, folks, whether it is man-made or of extraterrestrial origin, I don't know. But all I know is it's not a camera anomaly. It's not fake. It's actually there. So this object was actually moving through space, pretty close to Earth, pretty close to our other planets, moving towards the inner solar system, moving in the way towards the sun, because the sun would actually be over here on the left, way far back here on the left. You can see the Birkeland current lines representing the planets. I'm going to switch over to this next video. I'm actually going to open this one up in a different video player. We get a better view of it. That one's a little grainy. Now, I added a little bit of a filtered color so we can, you know, get some more detail on this. And this was converted to 4K a better resolution. And again, you can see this object moving intelligently. How it propels itself, no idea. I'm going to go ahead and grab another video here real quick. Now, I sped this video up. And the reason why I sped this up is I wanted you to see how it is moving away from the camera, because it's larger when it comes into view from the right side of the screen. And as it progresses further towards the middle of the screen, it gets smaller, leading us to believe that it was moving away from the Seechi spacecraft. And again, I mean, to me, this looks like an intelligent manned vehicle, whether it be human beings or extraterrestrial. Maybe we'll never know, but it is very interesting. This is the first time that I've seen anything like this, except for back in 2016 when we were seeing that one structure on the Seechi footage. They labeled it the parachute bomb. I don't know why, but it made its rounds all over the internet, all over YouTube. And it was very interesting. And I do believe still to this day, we don't know what it is. Some folks, you know, they said it was this, they said it was that. But, you know, when it comes to things like this, folks, we will probably never know. But it's pretty interesting, you know. And like I said, I slowed this down and I sped it up so that way you can see with your perception of the way it moves into view. And it's larger, and as it keeps on moving towards the middle of the screen, it gets smaller. But we're going to go ahead and exit out of here. We're going to move to the next video clip that I took. And again, I converted all of these over into a higher definition. This is a closer view. And if you watch very carefully, that outer wheel is spinning. It seems the structure in the middle stays stationary, while the outer structure, the wheel itself, spins rapidly. So the more and more I delved into these space wheel habitats, that outer wheel is the structure that creates the artificial gravity. These types of structures have to be at an inclined position, slightly tilted from what these scientists state. And again, this goes all the way back to 1956 when the NASA scientist from Germany, von Braun, was, you know, building a model of this. And I'll show you that video. I mean, I'm pretty intrigued by this, folks. I don't know about any of you. I mean, I believe in extraterrestrial life. I believe in aliens. I mean, I believe in all of it. I mean, how can there only be us in this galaxy, in the entire universe? I don't believe that. I believe that there are many, many races. It's just a matter of us getting to them. And I believe that they've already gotten to us. So I'm going to exit out of here and we're going to move to the next piece of video. And all I'm doing here, folks, is I'm just getting it closer and closer for you. Now, in this piece, you can see the outer wheel actually spinning. Pay very close attention. And I hope that for all of you that are watching this, you're watching it either on a big flat screen TV or you're watching it on a computer model, because you may have trouble viewing this on a cell phone screen. But just kick back for a second, watch it very closely, and you will also see that it starts to slightly turn as it gets to the middle of the screen. You could actually start to see it turning from this oval shape to a spherical shape. And why would it do that? Well, it's obviously turning. It's obviously under intelligent control, and it's perfectly circular. It looks oval because of the angle that it's sitting in the beginning. But as it moves towards the middle of the screen, you start to see its actual shape, which is perfectly spherical. Pretty wild stuff. I'm going to catch out of this one here. And this one here is really close up. Now you can actually see this wheel, space wheel, habitat, alien spacecraft, whatever you want to call it. You can see it spinning. I know it's a little grainy, but that is because of the space camera on the Seechi craft. I did convert this over to a high resolution, but that object is truly spinning, just like one of these space wheel habitats. And it definitely has a very well-defined structure. I mean, this really blew my mind, folks. You know, over the course of the last couple of years, researching Planet X and, trying to find what is lurking out there near our sun and within our solar system, I've seen a lot of crazy looking things. Viewing photographs from all of you guys and bits and pieces of video and things that I've captured on my own, a lot of it's mind bending. You know, my mind has soaked up so much over the course of the last couple of years. And then we come across this. What really bugs me is I'll probably go to my grave never truly knowing what this object really is. But there are facts. And the fact of the matter is, it's there. It's moving past one of the cameras on the Seechi spacecraft. It picked it up. We found it. Fact is, the outer wheel of this structure is spinning. It seems the interior structure is stationary. And a fact is that it seems to be under intelligent guidance of some kind, whether it be from humans from this earth or extraterrestrials from far beyond our solar system. Pretty freaky, huh? Definitely freaky. I'm going to buzz down here to the bottom here.
This advanced space or space station.
Hey, folks, let me know if you can hear von Braun. This is the German scientist, rocket scientist that the United States government kind of kidnapped after World War II, brought him to the United States. This was the German scientist that was inventing and helping the Germans with their rocket technology. But this video goes back to 1956. He was already working for NASA in their space program And already in 1956, this man has already come up with a model of this space wheel, this habitat. So I'm going to go ahead and let it play. I hope you guys can all hear it, but just check it out. It's very interesting.
Will be headquarters for the final ascent to the moon. Our space satellites will have the shape of a wheel, measuring 200 feet across. This outside rim will contain living and working quarters for a crew of 50 men. Just below the radio and radar antenna is the atomic reactor. Its heat will be used to drive a turbo generator, which supplies the station with electricity. Access to the station will be through an airlock in the hub. The three large spokes are elevator shafts, and the small pipes are used as condensers for the turbo generator and the air conditioning plant. The entire wheel will slowly rotate at 3 revolutions per minute. The resulting centrifugal force will produce an artificial gravity for the men in the rim. Notice that the floors are placed so that the men stand with their heads toward the hub. The wheel is divided into 9 sections. The first section is headquarters and communications. The next section will be for Earth weather observation and prediction. Military reconnaissance experts, aided by powerful optical and radar telescopes, will observe every point on the globe as the space station makes its complete trip around the Earth every 2 hours. Next is the emergency hospital section, and then the astronomy division, where men will keep an eye on the rocket ship as it makes its trip around the moon. The rest of the space station will house calculating machines, maintenance facilities, air conditioning equipment, living quarters, and even a botanical and zoological laboratory. This entire space station will have to be prefabricated and tested on the ground. After dismantling, it will be transported in pieces up to the orbit. Construction of the space wheel now begins. The sides of the cargo nose are mechanically separated. Built-in tanks of compressed air inflate this large plastic inner section of the hub. Thin metal plates are immediately clamped on the outside to protect it from meteors. The first workday in space draws to a close. Every 24 hours, another cargo rocket will arrive in the orbit. When the airlock is attached, the pressurized hub section can be used as temporary quarters for eating and sleeping. Each succeeding load is carefully scheduled so that the parts of the station can be assembled in correct order. Nylon ropes prevent the parts from slowly drifting away. Next, the atomic reactor is installed. The wheel begins to take shape now as the 3 main spokes and rim sections are joined together. Condenser pipes are fitted next so that the atomic reactor may be put in operation. Even though there's no apparent motion, everything in the orbit is hurtling around the Earth at 16,000 miles per hour. The shell of the station is completed. Now comes the delicate task of installing instruments and the multitude of equipment inside. Finally, 2 small rocket motors on the rim, lasting for a few seconds, will set the wheel in permanent motion to revolve 3 times a minute. This advanced base, or space station, will be headquarters for the final ascent to the moon.
Okay, folks, real quick, going all the way back to 1956, von Braun was already envisioning this. I mean, I got to say, this is really blowing my mind that we actually captured something similar to this moving past the Seechi cameras. There's no doubt that the object is a well-defined structure. Now, something that I also stumbled onto, and we're going to jump out of this video, and I'm going to play this gentleman's video here. Let me turn this down just a little bit. I found out that over the past couple of years, NASA had a program for these so-called brainiacs. It was like a think tank. And they wanted these individuals to drum up their versions of a workable, livable space wheel structure. And you had to submit all of your artwork, all of your plans, all of the information on how this would work. You had to submit it to NASA. They labeled it a contest. And I was actually able to view and find a lot of these submitted videos to NASA pertaining to one of these space wheels, these space habitats. I'm going to move on in this video here a little bit, get rid of the first part of it. And just check this out from here. This is pretty interesting. Now, this was put together by a gentleman who's obviously very talented. And this shows you the inner workings of one of these gigantic space wheel habitats. You can see it has land, it has grass, it has trees, it has a flowing river, bridges, buildings, and it's pretty incredible. And it really looks like what we saw on the Seechi spacecraft video. Now, if you just read what's going across the bottom of the screen, it just stated that this object would have to be tilted at an angle. Apparently, it has some type of solar panels where it can gain energy from the sun. It states right there, solar panel array generates electricity for solar energy. And again, folks, I mean, if we look at this object and we compare it to what we saw on the Seechi imaging, I mean, it's pretty close. It's not the exact identical model, but the concept is amazing. And if you take a look at this piece of video, this object is spinning like a wheel, and that creates the artificial gravity that human beings would need to survive in space for long periods of time or for a lifetime. And the inner workings of these massive space stations, livable habitats, like I said, they have everything they need in order to survive, almost like you would survive here on Earth. And you could probably travel vast distances through space without a problem to the human body. So, this was just one of the programs that I found. And there's a hell of a lot more. I'm going to go ahead and play this one. And again, this is just a simple animation of what one of these space wheels or one of these habitats would look like. And again, you see it, it's in an inclined position. It's rotating. And this is just another example of what we saw. I mean, I can't confirm 100% that that's what it is, but there's only two options. Either man developed and built that structure, or it's an alien craft moving through our solar system and pretty damn close to Earth. Pretty neat. I'm going to jump back to this video. Pretty interesting. Here is another quick video that I want you guys to see. And in this video, this actually talks about where this object, where this space station or space habitat would have to be located in the L4 position. And that would be for it to stay in a synchronized orbit with the Earth. But even if it didn't stay in that synchronized position with the Earth, it can travel wherever in our solar system, in our galaxy, possibly outside of our galaxy throughout the universe. And this was actually one of the NASA contestants that submitted her information on building and maintaining one of these space cities, one of these space habitats. So, you know, many years ago, why would NASA go to the extent to put together a think tank with brilliant minds from all over the world to help develop a structure like this? They want to get off of the Earth. And they're planning on getting off of the Earth. But it seems that from all the information coming in over the course of the last couple of years, they're already off the Earth. Like I said, folks, if you listen to David Wilcock and his Cosmic Disclosure, along with Corey Goode and Emery Smith, you will hear things and you will see things that will really, really bend your mind. And I've been listening to David Wilcock for many years. And over the course of the last 2 years, I've been listening to what Corey Goode has had to say. And now, over the past year, Emery Smith has come out, and he's been involved in these secret space program operations for a long, long time. And these are whistleblowers, and they are coming out and they are telling the world about their experiences. Two other individuals that were whistleblowers that went to David Wilcock and disclosed a lot of this information about these underground bases and bases on the moon and bases on Mars. One of the gentlemen, an older gentleman, went by the name of Pete Peterson. He was only able to do 2 interviews with David Wilcock, and then he was found dead. And Pete Peterson's information goes back very, very far. And he talks about underground habitats, complete cities underground here on our planet. And these underground bases, they weren't built by the United States government or any government on this planet. They were built by extraterrestrials that they have these habitats underground. Apparently, the United States government and other foreign governments have learned quite a bit over a long course of time. They've learned quite a bit from extraterrestrial life on this planet. Some of you may believe it, some of you may not. I'm a firm believer in it. I've been investigating a lot of these matters for a long period of time. Back in 1984, I'll tell you a little story, but back in 1984, myself and my grandfather, a Pennsylvania state trooper, and 2 other individuals, we saw and witnessed a massive triangular shaped UFO fly right over top of us as we were all traveling down a highway. And it was in the summertime. It was pretty close to, pretty close to getting dark. Wasn't quite dark yet. And this object was maybe 2,000 feet in the air. It wasn't very far away. And it had 3 lights on it, one on each corner of the triangle. The triangle points, they were rounded. It had one kind of a dome structure in the center of this triangle. It was absolutely massive. To me, it reminded me of like a stadium floating in the air. No sound, nothing. My grandfather pulled over on the side of the road. The state trooper was on the other side of the highway. He stopped, and the people that were traveling in another vehicle, a husband and wife, they stopped. As I got out of the vehicle and looked up, we were directly underneath this object, and it illuminated the entire highway, but it looked like studio lights, like fluorescent lighting. And it made no sound whatsoever, nothing. And then we experienced some lapses in time, because before I can blink an eye, the police officer that was on the other side of the highway, 4 lanes over, going the opposite direction, now all of a sudden, he was standing in front of my grandfather's truck. So it seemed like a little lapse of time. It was impossible for him to, walk over 4 lanes of highway, jump over the Jersey barrier, the concrete medium, and then appear right there in front of my grandfather's truck. It was just like you blinked your eye and he was there. And we were all looking up. And this object continued to travel from the east to the west. And then we experienced another lapse in time. And the police officer was now not in front of my grandfather's truck, but about 60 feet away and he was standing in front of the people that were driving a car, and they were in front of us. So it's like, time was kind of just jumping around. And then I remember the police officer had a little notepad in his hand and a pen, and he asked for our names, our addresses, our telephone numbers, our information. And I don't remember giving him that information. Neither does my grandfather. My grandfather spent 33 years in the military. He fought in World War II. He fought in Korea. Very decorated soldier. And after the initial contact was over, we got back in the truck, and I don't remember anything from the point of closing the door on the pickup truck and then a flash, and we were driving down another highway on our way home. And my grandfather was saying to me, "Listen, boy, don't say anything to your grandmother about what we just saw. And you can expect a visit from the United States Air Force. Don't open the door." That's all I remember. And then another lapse in time, and we were no longer on the highway headed home. We were going up the hill, a residential hill, to my grandmother's house. We were like 100 yards away. And I didn't live far from my grandmother's house, a few blocks. I don't remember walking home. I don't remember anything. Till the very next morning, my mother had left for work, and I was sitting at the kitchen table having a bowl of cereal. I was 16 years old. I heard a knock at the door, and I opened it. And whenever I opened the door, there were two U.S. Air Force guys standing on my front porch. They both looked identical to each other. They both had mirrored aviator sunglasses on. They were dressed in the full dress blues, navy blue Air Force uniform. The vehicle that was parked in my driveway had U.S. government license plates on it, front and back, because I could see the front of the car. It had a U.S. government license plate on it. I could see right between these two guys. And the one guy asked, my name, and I gave him my name. And then I had another lapse in time, and they were no longer on my front porch. We were now standing in my kitchen. They were standing in front of me. I was sitting down in the chair. I don't remember opening the door to let them in. I don't remember them walking into my house. I don't remember being scared. And then the one Air Force official had a folder, a manila folder in his hand. He threw the folder on the table, gave me a pen, told me to open the folder, fill out the paperwork, turn it over, and draw a picture of what I saw. I don't remember filling out the paperwork, but I do remember drawing on the back side. I do remember drawing a photograph of what I did see. And then that's it. Another lapse of time occurred, and they were gone. I could hear two car doors closing outside. I ran from the kitchen through the living room to the front door, opened it up, and they were backing out of the driveway and driving away. The very last memory I have is looking at the license plate, and it said U.S. government. and I could see both of them, in the front of the car, one driving, one passenger. And within 5 minutes, my home telephone was ringing. I ran in the house. I answered the phone, and it was my grandfather. And he said, "Boy, did you answer your door?" And I said, "Pap, what are you talking about?" He said, "The U.S. Air Force just left my house. I know they were there to see you too. What did you tell them?" And I couldn't remember. It was only many, many years after that, I started remembering this encounter. It bothered me. It disturbed me for some years after that, because I was really grinding my own mind trying to remember what I went through. My grandfather never talked about it again. Even through my early adult life, I questioned him about it. He would tell me, "Just shut up, boy. Just shut up." We never discussed it. We never had a conversation about it. So, to me, there is alien life out there. As I've said before, ladies and gentlemen, there's so much out there in our solar system, in our galaxy, in the universe that we don't even know about. And for all of us to even attempt to sit here with a closed mind and say, that's impossible. Alien life doesn't exist. Planet X doesn't exist. The secret space program doesn't exist. If you keep on thinking with this closed mind, you're never going to, I guess, maybe adapt to what is actually happening in our lifetime right now. I consider it to be pretty fascinating. But in the same aspect, I feel that it's also very dangerous because of all of these different agendas. And the more and more that I listen to very credible individuals, the more and more I understand. One of the main reasons why the governments of the world and the corporations that run the governments don't run our countries, folks. Corporations run the world. We already have the technology, but they don't want to give it to us because they want us to, well, I'll just say, need them. They want us to have the need for them. And it all revolves around greed, money, and power. We don't need fossil fuels like gasoline and oil and coal. We don't need anything like that. But these big corporations would lose trillions and trillions of dollars. But something even more important, they would lose power. They would lose power over our governments. So again, there's so much for us to learn. There's so much for us to investigate. It is truly mind-bending. The secret space program does exist, and it is not run by any government. It is run by corporations. And they've been at this for a very, very long time. as far as what I've been able to, listen to from these whistleblowers, these alien species, they've been on this planet possibly longer than man. What do they want from us? From what I gather, some of them want us gone. And there are the others that are truly trying to help mankind. A spiritual awakening, broadening your mind, advancing. But from what I understand, they're not allowed to intervene. They're not allowed to change destiny. They can help us, and they certainly can destroy us. There are so many points in history that talk about the wars and the battles in the skies and in the heavens above. Nuremberg, Germany, back in the 15th or 16th century, well documented about a war in the skies above that lasted for days. Look it up, read about it. It's intense. It happened, thousands of witnesses. And they had a little, a little printing press newspaper, and they wrote about it and they documented it. Some of the oldest civilizations on this planet have documented the, ancient alien experience. So after seeing, this object, I'm going to go ahead and just jump back over here. After seeing this object and comparing it to one of these space habitats and watching the video, I have to say to myself and for myself that what we viewed was maybe a 1 in a million shot of seeing technology that man has developed, or the technology of extraterrestrial life that we should all agree is out there. If you think that we are the only ones of an intelligent species, we're the only ones in the universe, you're thinking with a very closed mind. It's an amazing piece of video footage that we were able to capture, and I'm going to wait a couple of more days, and the Seechi footage will update, and hopefully we get 2 or 3 more days to look at as this craft continues through the view of that camera. And I urge all of you to continue investigating, continue learning, continue broadening and opening up your mind. Folks, we don't know what's going to happen day by day. We have so many things happening to our planet right now. It's very worrisome. We see what is happening in Hawaii. We see what is happening with our weather. We see what is happening with the earthquake situation. We see what is happening to our polar caps, the North Pole and the South Pole. Do these governments or these special space programs know something that we don't? Of course they do. The rich and the elite, they don't want to die. They want to live forever. And that way of thinking has been going on for a long, long time. Man has always looked for a way to prolong life. And that's what they're doing. They don't give two shits about us. They only care about themselves. Me? I don't want to live in space. I don't want to live on one of these space habitat wheels. I want to stay right here on Earth. If I have to be like a captain of a ship and go down with my vessel, then that's the way I'm going to go. But others, they think differently. And these rich and powerful corporations and these rich and powerful people over the centuries, they've taken advantage of the common man and woman and child. You know, it's situations like this that bend the fabric of religions also. You don't think for 1 minute that the Roman Catholic Church, powerful organization, they don't want you to know what's really out there because you may end up losing your faith. Therefore, they end up losing control. The same can apply for every single religion that is practiced on this planet. They do not want to lose control, at least not at this time. There's so much more to learn, and there will be plenty for us to adapt to. No doubt we're living in some very trying times, but again, folks, we're also living in some very interesting times. I urge all of you to start following David Wilcock and Corey Good and Emery Smith. There's a channel, not a YouTube channel. Well, they do have a YouTube channel. It's called Gaia, Gaia. You can join the Gaia network on your computer, and they produce videos, documentaries that are absolutely outstanding and cover a lot of subject matter. But you'll find David Wilcock, you'll find his episodes of Cosmic Disclosure on Gaia. I pay $10 a month for it. I get it through my local cable TV, and I'm able to watch all of the episodes, and there are plenty of new episodes that are coming out. Full disclosure. Full disclosure. But I thought, you know, after seeing this footage from Seechi and comparing it to one of these massive space wheel habitats, I wanted to show all of you what my opinion is. You know, all of you guys are more than welcome to form your own opinions. And, you know, if you've got some good ones, let me know what you think this is. You know, you can possibly tip me off into another direction. We all work together. But there's no doubt, this was a very, very interesting piece of video footage and the still photographs. And I'm still going to pick it apart. Like I said, I'm going to wait a couple of days for more updated information on the Seechi website. And I'm sure they already know we're talking about it. You know, maybe they'll wipe it clean. But I already have all of the data saved in my computer, and I've saved it elsewhere. I think it's important. I also think it's very important that we start to broaden our minds a little bit. You know, all of this is not fantasy anymore. With the little bit of technology that we have and the intelligence that we have, you can see how quickly we're putting things together. Do we need to know what this is? Some people may say no. I say yes. This object came out of nowhere on May 14th, 2018. It appeared on the Seechi U.S. Naval Observatory Spacecraft camera system. It was only picked up by one of the 5 cameras, and they're pointed in little different directions. But this one picked up that object. Pretty damn neat, if you ask me. And it's definitely a 3-dimensional structure. No doubt about it. You know, and some of you may make fun of me and you may say, oh, you know, you're cracked up, you're nuts. Hey, man, whatever. I don't see that person criticizing me coming up with a better idea or even trying. I find it all very fascinating. I mean, don't you find that fascinating that a structure that huge, that large, that massive was moving through space that close to Earth? Who was piloting it? Who was driving this big thing? Who was in command? Were they human beings from our planet? Or were they extraterrestrials from far out in space? Will we ever know? Maybe. Maybe not. Now, I'm going to bend your minds a little bit more. And once again, I'm going to tell you about some personal experiences that I've been having over the course of the last year. And some of you have heard me before talk about this little object that's on your screen right now. This is the newest one that has made its way out of my body just a few days ago. And I don't know what these objects are. The first one that I found was embedded deep in my nasal cavity, in the left side of my nose. And I had started getting very bad headaches and pain behind my left eye and the whole entire left quadrant of my skull. And I didn't know what the hell was going on. I thought it was a sinus headache, migraine, maybe staring at my computer too long. Who knows? And then I could feel a lot of pressure in my left cheekbone, underneath my eye, near my sinus cavity. And I was able to extract one of these objects out of my own body, out of my own nose. So this is the latest one that just fell out of me a few days ago. But I'm going to jump back to the original one. And I know this is going to freak a lot of you out. You may think I'm crazy, but whatever. This was the original object, the first object that I found embedded in myself. And these little objects are indestructible. They are very hard. I've tried to smash them. I've tried to cut them. They're not metallic, but you can see this one here has a red line, and the bottom part of it was red. This object was actually attached to my arterial artery inside of my sinus passage and inside of my sinus cavity. And that artery goes all the way up to your eye and into your brain. I have all of these saved as specimens. And several people have said, well, why don't you have them tested? Well, yes, I would like to have them tested. Let me show you a couple different views. I would like to have them tested, but I don't trust anybody. Now, whenever this object was removed, all of the pain in the left quadrant of my head, my eye, my cheekbone, all of the pain instantaneously went away. Just like that, it was gone. Here's another view of it. And just to give you an idea, this is smaller than a grain of rice. And what it's sitting on is 1 square of toilet paper. So we all know the size of a square of toilet paper. And you can see the bloodline where it was literally attached to that artery. Now, people have made comments when I talked about this before, and they said, oh, those are polyps. No, they're not polyps. I know what a polyp is. I've already looked into all of that. I've already been to an ear, nose, and throat doctor. I don't have a polyp or polyps in my freaking nose. So this little object with a perfectly straight line, this little object is like indestructible. You can't smash it. You can't cut it. You can't squeeze it. It's pretty damn strong. I don't know what it is. Now, after going through that mess with that object, 2 months later, I started having the same pain in the exact same area. And the pain is so intense, guys, I can barely see out of my left eye. And I literally have to lay down because it feels like a migraine. That first little implant you saw, I was able to extract that myself. This one just fell out. It just fell out and literally landed in the hair on my left arm. Thank God I have hairy arms, because it actually caught whatever the hell this is. And this one is like glass. It's not a worm. It's not a bug. It's not a nasal polyp. These little bastards are indestructible. I tried to twist it. I tried to break it. I tried to bend it. I tried to cut it with a very, very sharp knife. It's solid. And as this one fell out, again, the pain in my eye, the pain in my cheekbone, and the headache that lasted for 4 days just instantaneously disappeared. So I have some more views of this damn thing. And right on the end over here, you can see it has a very, very, very sharp point. And I mean, it is so sharp that I was able to prick my finger with it, you know, like a pin. You can see all of it's like glass. It has some type of internal structures in it. Here's another view. And I thought right here in the middle, I thought right there in the middle was a point where it was very thin. And I thought that I would be able to break it at this thinnest part right here in the middle. No way. Was not even able to flex it. Unbreakable. What the hell is it? And they keep coming out of me. This is another view. And it's almost got like this golden color. I'll zoom into it here. I mean, if any of you have any ideas, please let me know, because I'm losing sleep over this. Wait till you see the other one. This is a little bit of a clearer view. That other picture is a little blurry. But let's look at the end. You can see on the end, it's very, very sharp, very sharp. These kind of remind me of glass. It seems that there's some type of internal structure in it. And we move up to whatever part this is. And the coloration changes. They're not slimy. It's just like glass. It's like you be holding a piece of glass. And you could see how small they are compared to the little tiny round dimples, the impressions in the piece of toilet paper. So I'm not joking around here, folks. These things are actually coming out of me. And this was another one. This one, same thing. It's not that crystal clear. If you look on the end, again, it looks like glass. And again, you know, I have these massive pain and headaches. It's always on the left side of my cheekbone. But after these things fall out, that pain instantaneously goes away. Here's another view of another one. And again, you can see the end is very sharp, hard as a rock, unbreakable. Can't damage this thing. Can't cut it, can't break it. I've squeezed it with a pair of pliers. I've tried to bend it. Nothing. Indestructible. This one was pretty painful. This was back in March, I believe. This one came out of me. And this thing is also indestructible. Cannot destroy this thing. I tried to smash it with a spoon on a counter. I tried to cut it. And I also tried to smash it in between a pair of pliers. And nothing. But I had a tremendous headache for 7 days. I couldn't even drive a car. Couldn't do anything. And then it fell out. It fell out right onto my desk. I heard something go ting, ting, ting. I looked down, and it's right at the edge of my keyboard near my computer. And the pain, again, disappeared instantly. Now, just a few days ago, this one fell out. Same thing. Right here at my computer, doing some work. I had a massive migraine for 3 days. And then, bingo, this thing comes out. And it has some threads in it, as you can see right here. Multiple colors, crystal clear over here. This yellowish, greenish color. And this point. Now, this point was rounded. And it wasn't sharp at all. And I had a very intense headache for 3 straight days, man. It put me down. It takes a lot to keep me down. And this was pretty bad. Here's another view of it. So until I find somebody that I can actually trust to examine these objects, I'm not just going to take them to a lab and turn them over, because I don't know what the hell they are. But you cannot damage these things. Here's another side view. And again, this amber color, it's like a gold color. It's real shiny. There's a metallic color right here. And this bottom part is transparent. And the rest of it, different colors. You can see some type of a black thread type structure right here. And again, folks, you cannot destroy these things, whatever the hell they are. They're like hard pieces of glass. And here's another view. Again, you can see multiple distinct colors. Crystal clear, this greenish, lime greenish color here. There's this thread. I don't know if that's a wire. I don't know if that's a thread. It's not part of the toilet paper that it's sitting on. And you could see the different coloration. I don't know what the hell it is. But this is, I believe, the sixth one that has come out of me. Now, something that's been occurring with both Dr. Albers and I, uh, you know, you guys may believe it or may not. We think that we're being hit with some type of low frequency of some kind. The other day, Dr. Albers and I were both hit with this low frequency at the same time in different locations, meaning, she was at her residence, I was at my residence, and all of a sudden, I heard this real low pitched sound wave hit me in the right side of my ear. It completely numbed the entire left or right side of my head. I lost the hearing in my right ear for about a minute. It felt like there was water in my ear, a lot of pain in the right side of my head. I was really startled. I jumped up from my desk. I ran through my house. I'm wondering what the hell is happening. And the low pitch sound went to a high pitch sound, and then it went away. I immediately called Dr. Albers and told her what just happened to me. And she said, wow, that just happened to me also at the same time in different locations. So, I mean, this isn't the first time this has happened to me either. It's been happening more and more often. So I don't know if, I'm being targeted, if Dr. Albers is being targeted. I don't know. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but this is the sixth type of object that has come out of my body. Any of you have any ideas on what these objects may be? I've done some research into these so-called alien implants. Um, you know, I don't have any recollection of, being brought up into a spaceship and them sticking things, in my nose and my nasal cavity. But I've done some research on people who have had these metallic implants removed from their hands, from their feet, from their ankles, from their forearm. I've watched some of the operations from the one doctor that does this removal of these objects. Some of them have been tested. They are metallic. They are not of the origin of Earth. So again, it makes you wonder, but I'm not going to turn any of these over to anybody because I'm afraid they might destroy them, lie to me, keep them, whatever. But I do want to know what the hell they are because it's causing me a tremendous amount of pain. And this has been going on now for like 6 months, 7 months. And I have them all separated. They're in a container. They're in a safe place, but I don't know what the hell they are. It's kind of scary. Very scary. But, what really blows my mind are the multiple colors, the crystal clear color over here. It's almost like a diamond. And then this coloration here, it's like a lime green. It's real bright. And this thread, I don't know what the hell that is, but it's going inside of this this object. Whatever the hell it is. I don't know, maybe it's a listening device, a tracking device. What the hell? I don't know. I don't sleep very much. A lot of you know that. A lot of you ask me all the time, oh, well, you know, Scott, when the hell do you sleep? I sleep maybe 3 or 4 hours a day if I'm lucky. But I'm never tired. My body and my mind just keeps going on, you know, 100% all the time. So, you know, look, there may be some of you that will make fun of me for divulging all of this to you here today. You can go right ahead and do that. But all I know is what I experienced in 1984 with my grandfather and many others of, you know, viewing this massive UFO object above us. You know, and by the way, folks, we weren't the only ones who saw that. There were literally thousands of people who saw it within a 60-mile track through multiple towns from where I live all the way to the West Virginia, Ohio state line. It made the newspapers, multiple newspapers. So, you know, me and my grandfather, we weren't the only ones to see that massive object up above us. I don't know if I was taken aboard. Who the hell knows? But all I know is my life was forever changed at that point in 1984. I was 16 years old. Things for me at that point changed forever. I looked at life differently. My thought process was much different than your average 16-year-old. I became very compassionate about everything. About the earth, trees, plants, animals, human beings. It was kind of weird. It was almost like an awakening for myself. I used to go hunting all the time with my godfather and my grandfather. After that experience in 1984, and everything changed for me, I never wanted to pick up a firearm again and shoot an innocent animal. I just didn't have it in me anymore. Killing a living creature was just not within me anymore. I also uncovered this passion inside of me for discovering things. My internal will became much stronger. And my intelligence, my smarts, seemed to reach a higher level. I was always smart in school. You know, I paid attention. I did my classwork. And two years later, right before I was ready to graduate from high school, the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine recruiters came to our high school for this in-service day. And that's when these recruiters, well, they try to recruit you coming right out of high school. Hey, join the Army, join the Navy, join the Air Force, join the Marines, you know, blah, 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 blah. And my grandfather urged me to join the service. But being in the military wasn't something that I was looking forward to, or something I didn't want to do that. But my grandfather urged me to go take the test. And they give you this aptitude test, and he says, go into the Navy. You know, you don't want to kill anything, you don't like guns anymore, you don't like to go hunting anymore, blah blah blah. He says, you go join the Navy. You take that test. Be a naval officer. Good career. So my grandfather talked me into it. And the naval recruiter picked me up on a Saturday morning, drove me into downtown Pittsburgh to their headquarters, and I sat in on this testing with a bunch of other people and took the test. It's pretty difficult. Left the facility. He drove me back home. A few days later, got a phone call from the recruiter. He wanted to speak with my mother. Not me, my mother. And, he told my mother that your son had one of the highest aptitude scores that we've ever seen, and he should enlist in the United States Navy, and your son has the ability to become a high-ranking officer, naval officer. And we urge you to coax your son into enlisting. And my mom said, well, I know that my son's smart. I know my son's intelligent. He's a go-getter, as my mom used to call me. But that scared me. Because I've never been that type of a I love the government type person. I always see that the government doesn't really do for the people like they should. And I didn't want to go to war, and I didn't want to be responsible for taking someone else's life, whether it be in the Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marines. I turned down their offer, and I headed to college to do something else with my life. And I did do something with my life, and here I am today, speaking with all of you, sharing some intimate things that are happening to me. And we all know what's happening to our world, our planet. Very interesting times, folks. But, if any of you have any ideas what these monsters are that are being expelled from my body, I would definitely like to know. If you guys want to take some screenshots from this video and, I don't know, maybe send them to some lab rat that that can help me out, get in touch with me. You can inbox me on Planet X News on our Facebook page, or you could email me. But I'd sure as hell like to know. And now that I've showed all of you these things, I'm sure that all of you would like to know. Pretty freaky, huh? Definitely. Pretty crazy. Pretty mind-bending. Yeah, I want to share something with you guys real quick also. Over here at our Planet X News store, I don't know if a lot of you know, there's a lot of you that are still new to Planet X News, me and Dr. Albers. We have our own online store, and we're using this online store to help promote awareness with this chemtrail situation that our planet is in. And we've developed some shirts, some advocate shirts, and this is our new release. It is double-sided, front and back. Back says "Stop Chemtrails." Front side, "Chemtrails, Death from Above." Comes in multiple colors. Colors are right there, $21.99. And it also comes in ladies. Here's the ladies cut. Same thing, front and back logos. The ladies is $22.99. And the link for our online store is in the box under all of our videos. And to tell you the truth, the last chemtrail shirt, this one that we did here, wow, this one really took off. Hundreds and hundreds of people order this shirt. Me and Dr. Albers wear ours from time to time. It creates a conversation when somebody sees you wearing the shirt. And they may not know what chemtrails are. And they say, "Hey, what's up with your shirt? What does that mean?" It has a front and back design, chemtrails, look at the sky. There's the back design. There's the front design, and it definitely gains someone's attention. We also have coffee mugs. I just released this coffee mug yesterday. This is a 2 logo coffee mug, same logo, Chemtrails, Death from Above. And then on the other side of the logo is our Planet X News logo. So all of you guys can zip over to the Planet X News online store. I'll grab a link to it real quick. Stick it in the description box. You guys can check it out. It's pretty nifty. But folks, I know I've kept you, listening to me for quite some time on this this live stream. But there was a lot to cover. And I'm going to make a shorter video later on today, putting together all of the information pertaining to that object that we saw on the Seechi spacecraft. It's very, very interesting. I think there's definitely more to investigate on that matter. And, folks, I just don't have my hands in researching Planet X. I do a lot of other things. And we're going to start talking about them. I think it is now time to start the conversation on some other topics. And as Dr. Albers and I continue on our Planet X research, you know damn well that any finds, any captures, any new information will be brought to you immediately. And I don't hold back. Our Planet X News YouTube channel is still being highly censored worldwide. And the same thing is now starting to apply with our Planet X News Facebook page. We have almost 20,000 followers, but people are not getting notifications. On YouTube and on Facebook. And, both of these social media platforms are all screwed up right now, and not too much I can do about it other than to tell you, come back to Planet X News on YouTube, come back to our Facebook page at your own free will, meaning don't wait for a notification. Check in once or twice a day with our YouTube channel. Check in once or twice a day with our Facebook page. See what's new. You have to take the initiative. Also, the last couple of books that Dr. Albers and I have released on the sun simulator and the chemtrails, you know, it's great. A lot of people are buying the books that cannot view us on YouTube because of constraints from their countries. And this is beginning to be a bigger problem. But that's why we wrote the books. So all of you have something, a tangible product in your hand that you can look at, that you can refer to, that you can learn from, and possibly wake somebody else up by showing them what you have in your hand. And that is a book written by Dr. Albers and myself. We're doing the best that we can to awaken our population. It's not an easy task. It is very difficult, very time consuming, and very emotional. And it does take a toll on each of us. But you know what? When I do awake each day, I think about quitting everything that I'm doing. But that only lasts for about 2 or 3 seconds. And then I think about each and every one of you that have stuck by us through thick and thin and helped us in more ways than one. So this isn't just about Planet X News and me and Dr. Albers. This is about each and every one of us. All of us. Remember, I've said before, there are 2 words that each contain only 2 letters, and they are powerful words. Us and we. Us and we. Together, we'll find the truth, or we'll get pretty damn close. And I think that's what the powers that be worry about the most, is people in the truth community spreading knowledge, spreading the word, and waking people up, banding together. That is their worst nightmare. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you were able to take something away with you from this long live stream. I know it was pretty mind-bending and interesting. But if any of you have any ideas about those little implant things, let me know. If you have any further ideas about the large object that was seen on the Seechi footage, drop me a line, inbox me on Planet X News on Facebook, shoot us an email, let us know, share our videos, share the information from our Planet X News website, because there's multiple articles that go up there on a daily basis. And, you know, if you got the balls, get yourself one of those chemtrail t-shirts and wear it proudly. And when I mean wear it proudly to show everyone and anyone that you're not afraid to stand up for what is right. And polluting our skies with these damaging materials and chemicals is not right. And I will continue to stand up for that. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being with me this Saturday morning, now into probably Saturday afternoon. Oh, not quite. It's still 11:11. 11:11. I'm going to end this live stream. Take care, everybody. Be safe. God bless. And we will see you soon. This is Scott from Planet X News. Take care, everybody.